How's everybody doing? Positive and productive, I hope. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me. Hey, do me a favor and share the content with friends, family, anybody that you think the content is relevant to. Remember, local elections are more important than national elections, but dollars are stronger than votes. They won't stop until we stop them. Liberation comes at a cost. Who's willing to pay for it? So, ladies and gentlemen, jumping into this really quickly, you can read my comment, and I want to provide a little bit of context behind what I'm actually saying here. So your tweet in this video says so much about the black community. So this is actually an older post that I response that I had back in July of 2024. And it was one of my more popular comments that I responded to, and I'll give credit to the person who posted this. So I'm not sure who this lady is.
Oh, baby, you can't risk me. You too cocky.
Or something to the effect of that.
Wait,
so
what?
What the original post was?
No, I'm not sure.
The Gaming gentleman who was battling cancer.
No, I'm not
DJ,
sure,
I do
babe.
believe his
They
name.
say he's the police. No, I'm not sure, babe. I don't want
His
to.
dying
I'm
wish
not
once
sure. I'm not
he
sure.
had
I
a
want to
rare
be.
form of cancer, his dying wish was to be a police officer.
No, I
So
don't want to mess with
Friday
you, babe.
posted this and says, this young man has a rare form of
Oh, baby,
cancer
you can't
and
risk me.
dreams
You
to
too
be a
cocky.
police officer. So Houston ISD
Wait, what?
honorary officer.
No, I'm not sure.
And
No,
not
I'm
Miss
not sure, babe.
Fishscale
They
or
say
Madam
he's the
Lynn.
police. No, I'm not
Retweeted
sure,
this and she
babe.
said,
I
his
don't want to.
dying
I'm
wish
not
was to
sure.
be
I'm
a
not
puppet
sure. I want to
laugh
be.
the
Look at me.
Now I want to provide
No,
a
I
little bit
don't
of
want to
context
mess
here.
with you, babe.
So if you
huh?
haven't seen the video,
Well,
you actually need to
oh,
watch
baby, you
the
can't
video
risk
and
me.
see
You
how
too
the young
cocky.
gentleman at the time, I believe he might have only been about
Wait, what?
13, how he was being
No, I'm not
accosted
sure.
by the people that were the patrons
No, I'm
at
not
the
sure,
parking
babe.
lot that were
They
attending
say
the
he's the
store,
police.
various things of that
No,
nature.
I'm not sure, babe.
Now, the
I'm
reason
not
why I'm
sure.
saying
I'm not
that
sure.
is
I want to.
because I had previously watched the video. It had been circulating on various media outlets at the time. And that's when I said, your tweet and this video says so much about the black community. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there's some funny comments, some actually good comments, and I just think it just takes a little bit of time to go through some of these comments. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. I probably didn't even respond to any of these comments. As you guys know, I am a black farmer, an American black farmer. So shout out to people who try to make sure all of us can make sure we have a good sourced meal to eat every day, and the truckers who get it to and fro. Appreciate all of you guys. So just reading the comments right here. This is from Demo. My nigga, she speaks for herself. Not everybody. My nigga, she speaks for herself. Everybody isn't a symbol. Dead. This is from Dynasty Bighorn Ra. Dynasty Bighorn Ra. No, it says so much about the police department in this country. I'm not sure exactly what he meant by that. 4TB, Final Boss. I mean, you gotta admit, a dying wish to be a cop of all things is crazy. Not an NBA contract, not be an astronaut or a movie star. I can understand maybe from your perspective you think that, and that's just like if someone says my dying wish is to be a scientist. You kind of did mention astronaut, but what if someone said, hey, you know what, my dying wish is to sing in front of the Philharmonic? You mentioned movie star or something like that. What if someone said, hey, my dying wish is to be a firefighter, like my dad and my grandfather and his father? My dying wish is to be an army man, a serviceman. So everybody, it just depends on what's important to you. But I kind of do understand your sentiment. Somebody just gave them a link right here. This is from Hella Clout. Nah, for real. You don't gotta abide by this street code to be a real nigga. It's okay to be a cop. If you want to be a cop, be a good cop. Don't be the cop who harasses people. I actually like that comment. I do agree with that sentiment. That's with anything you do. It's nothing wrong. Well, there are a few professions that are wrong to be those things. However, a lot of things that we do need or that are necessary for a functioning society, we take these things for granted, or we then accost and or ostracize the people who do these things, the bad apples in a bunch, as though it's the whole representation. For example, we talk about how many specifically black people and or unarmed people that are killed by the police officers annually. But what we don't talk about is how many police officers do their job day in, day out, and don't actually shoot anybody at all. Never actually fire their service weapon, never even shoot anybody. So on any given day, how many police officers go to work every single day? And now let's do 365 days. How many officers go to work every day for a full year? And now let's look at how many people were actually killed by officers. It's a very small percentage, ladies and gentlemen. And once you do the numbers, you're like, why am I even talking about this? I'll tell you what, less people get shot by the police than people who need EBT. And less than 12% of the population, well, it's probably about 12.8% of the U.S. population relies on food stamps. But it's less than 15% of the population, which used to 40 million, still a lot. I'm not saying 40 million isn't a lot. But what I am saying is, compared to the scope of things and the scheme of things, 15% isn't a lot compared to 100%. That's what I'm saying. This one, I don't know. I think it says star or something to the effect of that. It says, no, it says a lot about her character. She doesn't represent the black community. Agreed. But what I will say to that is that if you did watch the video plus her comment, and here's the thing, if I say people in the black community, robbed a man or did this, some people in the black, I'm not saying everybody in the community, but what we are saying is that a significant amount of people from said community did participate. We are saying that. So we're not saying everybody participated, not 100% of the people did, but what we are saying is that a large representation and or a significant representation, almost like with the police shooting unarmed people thing, right? We're not saying all police do it, but we are saying that, that 0.01.5%, that it's 0.0015%. We're saying that that's too much, right? I get it. I understand. Continue. Somebody said, nigga, shut up. I won't. And if you don't have a better argument than that, then I'm just going to let you know. Hopefully you're a woman who said that, because if that was a reply to a man, have you ever been talking to a man and you were like, all right, I'll see you later, or you're texting with a guy and then you're like, all right, I'll see you later, or I'll meet you there, and they just say K? And you're like, wait, what? Nigga, nigga, did you say K to me? Like, nigga, a grown man just said K? Like, you don't just say, nigga, shut up. Like, that's not what you say to an argument as a man. You don't say that. But, here it is. Like, I see some of you guys and y'all walk around with your hands on your hips like your mama. And then you be like, my back hurt. Never mind. We're not going to go there. We're just going to keep on reading the comments. I tell you guys, it's neither here nor there. It is somewhere. Maybe it's on X. Maybe it's on Rumble. Hopefully you're subscribed. Coates72 says, hell no, says a lot about the fuck ass police. LOL, firefighter would have been straight. So I guess that's your opinion, and your opinion's validated and it's respected. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but what I am going to say is, again, we do need police officers just like we need firefighters. We do, because you can't see, here's the thing, there has to be somebody to do that job. And you can say, no, I could do the job myself. But are you really that fair? Are you really fair and unbiased? And I'm not saying that they are, but what I am saying is that we do need fair and unbiased people to do said positions. This is from Sloth, says, so black people supposed to be in support of the police? Niggas like you confuse me. I'm not sure what you mean by niggas like me, so I don't know. But yes, you should be in support of law and order. As an American, as the son of your grandpa, I'm depending on how old you are, but I'm pretty sure your grandpa never told you to go into the Publix and steal. Grandpa didn't tell you to go into Piggly Wiggly and go run out with some chicken or beef. Your grandma didn't tell you to go down there and lie to them people. That's not what she taught you. That's not what she taught you. So when you say niggas like me confuse you, no, stupid, you were already confused by your grandma and grandpa because they told you not to lie and steal. So that already confused you. So don't say niggas like me. No, you were just confused by the truth. That happens to a lot of people. For whatever reason, the truth eludes them. It is confusing. It hurts their feelings. I know the truth can be a plethora of things. Another word for plethora is myriad. I'm not sure which one is more. Again, neither here nor there. But the point of this is that the truth of the matter is that you need law and order. People who break the law and order or step outside of law and order need to be reprimanded, but it has to be in a fair and concise way and manner. Yes, it does. T. Laws Burner says, black community doing him wrong. Be better. Agreed. Especially if you watch the video. Now, for instance, this is a child, ladies and gentlemen. At the time of the video, he was a child. And let's just say, because here's the thing. I know people who supported children, maybe a little bit younger, when they wanted to be a rabbit or they wanted to, think that they were something or they had a tail. And, we appeased their little ideology. He thought he was Batman, so we put a cape on him and we let him go run and jump around. We know he's not Batman. We know he's never going to be Batman. And we don't think that you should want to be Batman because it's an impossible thing. But yet we didn't demean you and accost you in public for wanting to be Batman. We didn't do that. I know guys want to be Peter Pan. Now, I'm not going to say you should or shouldn't be Peter Pan, but there was a very famous man who actually wanted to be Peter Pan, and he spent millions of dollars to recreate something called Neverland. Again, neither here nor there, but we'll continue. Somebody said, what did I do? You know what, Inspector Chulo, you didn't do anything, but here's the thing. Again, I think I just said this earlier. Everybody in the black community doesn't have to participate to say the black community. And now the other part of this is that I think Martin Luther King said it. I'm not going to butcher what he said, but I will paraphrase it. He said that when people sit back and watch the evil men do what they do, that's the real evil right there. Because it's only a small percentage who are doing the evil. But then when you got 10 people beating that person up, that's the wrong thing to do. But when the 50 people sit back and watch the 10 people beat that person, well, that's foul-er. Nigga, that's foul-er. We'll continue though. And let me see, I almost pushed the wrong button here, and I did, but we can get back to it. Let me see, here we go. All right, it says, it doesn't. It says much about her. The problem with racism and prejudice now, and you being black won't change what I just said. I'm not really sure what you meant by that. Listen, I tell this to my wife and to people all the time. Don't make sense or don't try to make sense of illogical shit. When something is just illogical, you can't make it make sense because it's lacking that. How you gonna make $1 if you ain't got no pennies, no dimes, no nickels, or no quarters? You ain't even got a Susan B. Anthony in this bitch. A 50-cent piece, you ain't got nothing. But you try, okay, never mind. I tell you, we're gonna keep on going. We're just gonna get through the comments. The Don said, she stopped, she BS. See, look, you know what? And one thing I will say, for the majority of this exchange, ladies and gentlemen, even though syntax is important, but punctuation again, but the majority of you actually had well phrased. Even if I didn't agree with your comment, you guys actually had well structured comments, and it wasn't a lot of typos or blunders, errs in your speech. One time I was writing something and I was explaining something, and I said, so to rectify my and a girl tried to correct me. She said, you mean your error? And I said, well, yes, my And she said, no, your error. And I said, well, to err and to error are very similar, but to ERR is to err. And I said, and that's different than your error. I said, however, they come from the same place. And, I said, I didn't want to go through the whole thing with that, with her. I said, but neither here nor there. I tell you, it's somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. It is somewhere. I tell you what, and this is probably a time for a bad joke. I tell you what ain't there. Your goddamn SNAP benefits. That's what that's No, that's a bad joke, ladies and gentlemen. That's a bad. People, the kids are starving. The kids are not starving. Listen, nobody in the United States is dying from starvation, malnutrition. That is just not happening. Now you die from complications of that, and that's more in like the ruralest of the rural area. In modernity, now it happens in other, third world countries and stuff like that. But in modernity, in first world countries, realistically, massive amounts of people are not dying from starvation. Yes, you have crazy people who, kidnap people and do all this weird stuff, but now people are not dying from starvation in mass. People are not dying from starvation. uh Stop with that black community shit because of a comment of one because a because of a comment one stupid bitch said. Okay, I don't think you said that correctly. Stop with that black community shit because of a comment one stupid bitch said. Okay, I get what you're saying. Again, I've said this before. We represent the black community. She is a member of the black community. And look, we're gonna go back to this, but here's the thing. And I hate to do this, but it has to be done. While you, sir, are responding to my comment of her comment, and you had no likes, no repost, no comments to your comment, you only had 29 views and impressions, and you're saying the comment of a stupid bitch, and I'm not going to say whether she is or is not a stupid bitch, but you know what I am going to tell you? I am going to tell you is that her comment or her posting of it garnered 6.7 million impressions, and it garnered 64,000 likes, and it also garnered 4.5 thousand reposts with 1.9 thousand comments. So while you're saying the comments or the ideas of one stupid bitch, whether she is or isn't stupid, well, guess what? 6.7 million people seen it, 64 million people, or excuse me, 64,000 people liked it, agreed with it, or resonates with that message. Another 4,000 reshared it, sir, and another 1,000, almost 2,000, actually had something to say about it, and that would be you and right. So I think if I can get 6 to 7 million people to even see what I said, 64,000 people to like what I even said, 4,000 or more to even share what I said, and then I have almost 2,000 people commenting on what I said, sir.
No, I'm not sure.
This is not just the opinion of some stupid
No, I'm not sure, babe.
That's what you guys don't understand. This is why I do the reactions to said things that I do. This is the microcosm of a bigger problem that exists within the black community.
I don't want to mess with you, babe.
This is the truth. 6 million
baby,
people saw this.
You too cocky. Wait, what?
While you're saying it doesn't matter, sir, and only 24 people saw your comment, sir. And, just to toot my own horn in this as well, because this is the thread that I started is what we're all reading from. And I don't think I can get my analytics. Okay, and yeah, we can. And so my analytics garnered 118,000 views. So she garnered 6 million views. My thread, which is one of the 1.9 thousand comments that she had, which is one of these, which is also seen 118,000 times. And also with 39 reposts, 3 quotes, 4,000 likes, and 15 bookmarks. And you, sir, are one of the, doesn't say exactly how many comments it has. So you can't say this is just the opinion of some stupid girl. It's not. It's not. And if you think of it that way, then, sir, so stop with that black community shit, because this. So if 6 million people, so who am I to get 6 million people to even see my comment? Who am I? And then out of that 6 million, who am I to get 64,000 people to like and agree with what I had to say? Who am I to get 64,000? Think about that. If she was able to get $1 from everybody, I know a like isn't a dollar, but in this digital age of digital currency, in this new day and age of digital currency, social media, where attention translates to content and content translates to dollars, who are you to tell me that 64,000 people liking my comment doesn't equate to some form of monetary substantiation? Who are you to say that, sir? And I know that that wasn't your argument, but it does reflect the black community because 64,000 people liked it. We'll continue. Exactly, bro. Motherfuckers thinking being a police officer is bad. You know, and I didn't even say this guy's name. Ad MA. I don't know what the hell that says. Y'all, look, I'm too old for all of that shit. I'm not gonna try to read that shit. And I remember it back in the days of when hackers and I'm trying to think of. Damn, I can't even think of what the. Oh man, when the guys were first hacking with the BSS systems and oh Jesus Christ, it was so older, but we were brute forcing stuff. Either way, it doesn't even matter. They were writing a lot of stuff with lowercase, uppercase letters, substituting numbers for letters, certain characters, and it was pretty cool back in the day. And my brain, my younger brain, was really easy. Easy. I easily was able to pick it up. Now I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. So matter of fact, we're just gonna call you Adam TW. That because I see it over there. So Adam 505, I see you, brother. Exactly. And listen, I don't know how old you are, Adam, but when I was a kid growing up in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, you ask most little kids, black, white, or indifferent, what they want to be when they grew up. The vast majority of them said that they want to be a police officer or a fireman. That was what the vast majority of kids said in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't until the 90s where kids said that they wanted to be like Mike. But you had to understand for decades, and if you go back a few generations before the 70s, if you go back to the 50s and maybe even I'd say the late 40s, 50s, a lot of guys still wanted to be butchers and farmers and different things like that. So we and my wife and I were just talking about that, how society and movies, how they portray farmers as being some of like the dumbest people in society, or the slow dumb farmer. He's just a dumb redneck in the back of the hills, and the farmer doesn't know anything. But do you know your farmers were your first engineers? Your farmers were your first biochemists. Your farmers were your first, I said engineers, but mechanical engineers. Your farmers were your first veterinarians. Your farmers were the first people figuring all this stuff out. Your farmers were the first people to do predictive analysis. Do you know that? We were just doing something the other day, and we needed to understand the fraction because we have so many boar pigs and we have so many female pigs, but so many boars are going to have so many females. But what we have, the amount that we have for what we need, made a really weird fraction. And I explained to my wife, now as a farmer, you have to figure that out. So we basically did it the slow, arduous way. I said, but this is that fraction. This is how you would represent that number. And I said the farmers were the guys who figured this stuff out. So the police officers, those were the guys, when your uncle was that guy who made you guys be fair when you were wanting to fight your cousin because he didn't want to share a piece of his Chico stick with you, when y'all only had a little bit of a Snickers and your cousin didn't want to rip it in half. And your uncle said, no, we're going to share. We're going to everybody's going to get a little bit of equal. Remember that? So that uncle right there, remember when you was cheating and you was playing football and every time the guy would run by you, you would try to trip him or you would pull his jersey, and then your cousin would say, no, come on, man, stop doing that. We're going to play fair. Let's beat them fair and square. See, that guy right there, he's the guy who's supposed to be the police officer. That's the one who does that right there. But see, now y'all, everybody is supposed to be a gangster. Everybody is supposed to live on the street code of no snitching, of don't talk to the police. So now let me ask you, when Pookie and Ray Ray go rob your grandma and go upside her head, what you gonna do? Oh, you're gonna go get them back. That's what you're gonna go do. So now Pookie and Ray Ray didn't get caught for busting your grandma upside her head, but now you get caught for busting Pookie and Ray Ray upside their head. So now the only person who was taking care of Big Mama was you. So now you gotta go to jail because you went and got retaliation and retribution. There's an old saying that says you could do it the right way or you could do it the white way. I'm just keeping it real. Like for real, we know a lot of times white people are gonna call the police on you. And listen, let me tell you guys what I learned something. I learned a few different things. A lot of these older white guys, I'm not saying all, but a lot of them, you got to realize they've been to the military. They come from military families. These guys are ex-Marines and Navy SEALs. And a lot of these dudes come from some crazy fucking dysfunctional, drug-induced fucking chaotic family drama that, nigga, you ain't seen. Okay, I ain't even about to go there with y'all. I'm trying to tell you something. And then you think this white boy is a buster, he a pussy, he a mark because he don't want to fight with you because he ain't trying to get all aggressive. But you don't realize this. You don't realize what he had to do when he did his second tour of Fallujah. You, you don't realize what this man literally had to do when he went to Desert Storm and he went to do the battle of fucking he went to Desert Storm, he went to Iraqi freedom, he went to Kosovo, and he went to the war on terrorism. This is his 5th deployment. 8 tours, 5 deployments. And you think because he's saying, hey, Jamal, I don't want any problems, man. Listen, Jamal, I just don't want to fight. And yeah, he's a little fat, he's a little chubby, and he got some quirks and ticks because he got a little PTSD and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, like he's weird. You know what I mean? Like he's weird because his mind is fucked up, right? And you're thinking he's just a pussy. And what you don't realize is that with his bare hands, he will rip out your trachea and you will watch it. Okay, never mind. I don't want to go there with y'all, but and the reason why I'm saying this is because these guys, these people who exist in society, and we need these people who can tone this stuff out, who can listen. I used to pick up dead bodies for the for 3 of my local counties, my local jurisdictions, and one of the things that I always didn't want to see, and I worked there for a while before I finally had to see it, and it was crazy because it was like I know I don't want to see this, like I know I don't want to have to do it, and soon as I had to do it, it was like a every other day occurrence now, and I don't want to say too much, but when we think of deceased people, generally speaking, we think of adults, and that's all I'll allude to when we talk about that because this is going to go on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. But we need people who can disassociate, compartmentalize, and still do the job fair and objectively. And I know I went around the bush on that, talking about farmers and different things of that nature. But understand, there's a lot of gross things that you have to deal with the farmer. There's a lot of things that that are uncomfortable, with the animals and different things. Just for sake of argument, I had to do a few castrations of some of our young male piglets. So we don't want these boars, so we got to have some castrated males in the flock, so just a few things. Those guys, I remember besides the coaches, making sure you played basketball and weren't getting in trouble. I remember those off-duty cops. I remember those guys being some of the coolest guys ever in the community. But again, it's neither here nor there. Somebody said, again, we'll get back to the comments. Soul Induce said 100%. Realistic Bulls fan doesn't say anything about the community. Shut the fuck up. We've already answered that question. P Wash says wrong, says something about her, genius. It does, and she's a member and or the representation of a black community. So now imagine if we did this, right? So imagine if, for instance, matter of fact, I got a good one. See, I was gonna give y'all a not so good, I was gonna give you guys one that was not so analogous, but I think the metaphor that I have now fits perfect. So, we have women in the black community that do abortions, and they think abortion is okay. No, you can't talk about my right. You can't talk about mine. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna talk about it. If I do start talking about it, what's gonna happen to me? I hate when people say you can't do something that you're doing. Like, nigga, are you so retarded? Oh, never mind. I'm not supposed to say that. See, we about to lose YouTube. Okay, so listen. Here's the point that I'm trying to tell you. Imagine if you have a woman who does an abortion, and society, for whatever reason, deems that abortions are wrong. Now, I'm not saying that society does, even though the vast majority does believe that, or a good significant of the Christian population believes that that abortions are wrong, or religious populations. I would even argue that. So, but just imagine and I know people have a hard time with hypotheticals, but imagine if the majority say abortions are wrong, but now you have a woman who does an abortion, but now let's just say it's not just one woman, it's 4 out of every 10 women, so that's 40% of women. So now, would it be safe to say, or suffice to say, that doesn't say anything about the black community, that just says something about her? Well, when 40% of the women in said community are doing the said behavior, that says everything about the community, the individual, and the. Have you ever heard that something can be part of the macro and the micro at the same time? Remember when AOC told you we have to stop talking about the micro if we want to start talking about the macro, but in order to talk about the macro, we have to talk about the micro? Remember that? We have to stop talking about the micro and start talking about the macro. But in order to start talking about the macro, we have to talk about the micro. Bitch, I thought you just said we got to stop talking about that, though. Never mind. We'll keep going. Ray Jr. 8883 says, I don't see when you guys do these numbers, I don't know how you want it to be read, right? So is it Ray Jr. 8883? Is it Ray Jr. 8883? Is it Ray Jr. 8883? I don't know. See, I don't. Did you want me to say 8883? Did you want? I don't know, guy. I don't know. But it's forever fuck 12. This dumb bitch's unsavory comments about a dying child has nothing to do with the black community. Well, your first response has everything to do with the comment and the black community, because it's forever fuck 12. So what you're saying is you're a Marxist and you want lawlessness and chaos and disorder. And some people will say, Chusta, I thought you have an anarchy tattoo. I thought you support anarchy. No, I have a symbol that represents the true meaning of anarchos, which means no ruler. And what I mean by that is that's what. So and people say, well, you keep calling people Marxists, but you advocate for communism. I think the idea of communism, and when I say communism, not what Karl did, not what Engel did, definitely not what Stalin did, but I think what Plato had in mind. Plato's Republic is an idea. I'm not saying it needs to be implemented, but I'm saying it's an idea that needs to be visited. I am saying that. And what would that society look like? And what would that society look like when you have a free market capitalist society in place of a capitalist a communistic republic? Because we could, if we're looking at Plato's Republic, we could almost replace his version of communism with a constitutional republic, or with nationalism. So, like I said, it's something that should be visited. Not to say that itself needs to be implemented, but you saying it's forever fuck 12. So that means that you don't believe that nobody should be in the community helping the people who are the less fortunate, or the people who are unable to protect themselves. Well, it's not the job of the police to protect people. You're right. It's not their job. That's not their sole responsibility. But their responsibility is to uphold the law and enforce the law. And you know where they get that from? They get that from we the people. Now it's from a process. It doesn't come directly from we the people. It comes from the process of the legislative branch by proxy of we the people. However, the laws and in most cases ordinances are implemented by us. And then you have, so when we agree that this is right and this is wrong, when we the people agree on that and now it is a law and or ordinance, you have people in the community who are now going to enforce that to make sure these things are either upheld or not broken. So your comment that man, I can't even get it out. That was very feminine. Seriously, I don't understand how men have men are supposed to have a not so linear thought pattern. Like, yes, you can have a linear perspective to understand cause and effect, but men are not supposed to have a simple linear thought pattern. Well, causation equals correlation. Men are not supposed to think that way. We'll continue. Turkey leg. She's not black. Now what? Well, you know what? If she's not black, you know what? Then I would say her comment is excluded. But what about all the people who were accosting the little boy in the video? Are we gonna now say that they're not black? So listen, I was asking a question and I was explaining something, and I almost alluded to this about what Martin Luther King was saying. When you have the 10 people who do evil, but you have 50 people who sit back and watch it. So now think about the defense of it, right? So now Pookie and I made this analogy to my wife the other day. I said, when Pookie and Ray Ray go be crazy and go shoot up Mr. Jenkins or go rob the Piggly Wiggly, when they be stupid and do it, right? And now, how stupid are we when we defend Pookie and Ray Ray? Oh, well, his dad didn't live with him. Oh, well, he was abused as a kid. Oh, well, he was just hungry. Oh, well, the police is lying. Oh, well, they doctored the video. Oh, so now when we make all the excuses, so it was one thing when we turned a blind eye, because we seen Pookie and Ray Ray loading his guns up and putting their mask on, and we know they wasn't about to go play hopscotch. We know they wasn't about to go do nothing good. But we turned a blind eye like, shit, let me get up out of here. Okay, so when you turned a blind eye and you didn't say nothing, now Pookie and Ray Ray, now you know Pookie got guns and stuff, and now your wife is going to say, well, I think the police framed him. I think that they doctored the video. And then now your uncle going to say, that other cop, he's a racist. He's a known racist. So now we're just going to just start making assertions with no claims, nothing to back it up. So even if she's not black, the people in the community were. And the people in the community. But you know what? Let me go back to this other guy's comment, because I actually have to give him a little bit of credit. You know what? RJ 8883, I do give you a little bit of comment, because you know what? I do. I'm actually going to give you more props. You know what, Ray Jr., I'm going to give you more props, because even though you said it's forever fuck 12, which in my opinion is not the right position or perspective on that, you said, but this dumb bitch unsavory comments about a dying child has nothing to do with the black community. So the fact that you called her what she is a dumb bitch, and you knew her comments were unsavory, and you realized that it was for a dying child. So aside from it's forever fuck 12, the fact that she would allude to saying something derogatory or negative about a dying child, you believe is even more atrocious. So I got to give you a little bit of props. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to take you to see the forest. Now, we're not going to cut any of the trees so you can see it. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the trees will be in the way, and you might not be able to see the forest the way you want to, but just trust me. I'm going to take you to see the forest. I think you'll appreciate it if you don't cut down any of the trees to see the forest. I appreciate you, Ray. I really do, brother. I really do. This is from Craig Williams Jr. The black community is cooked. You ignorant, uneducated niggas need to read Thomas Sowell books. Very true. Very, very true. I've been saying we're cooked for a long time. Honestly, I've been saying, like a lot of times I see things happen in the community and I just put my head down in desperation. And my wife, she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm just like, "The black community is fucking fried." I'm like, we're fucking cooked. I'm like, you don't even understand. I'm like, sheesh. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I'm using, and I'll post a link probably to in the description to another video I did with Gronk debating anecdotal versus empirical. And when we look at a lot of these anecdotal or are one off, I won't even call it anecdotal, but when we look at these one off experiences which can be tabulated, correlated, and defined with predetermined outcomes, we can see that a lot of these one-offs equate to empirical evidence, and using said empirical evidence across the nation of the United States, the black community is fucking done. I mean, we are. And look, I ask a lot of people this question, like, out of all the black people in the United States, what percentage do you think are niggas? Like, what percentage do you think is just worker people just trying to do right? What percentage you think is Christians? What percentage you think is just, I don't give a fuck, nigga, I'm going to the store anyway. What you going to the store for? You ain't got no money. So what? I'm going anyway. How many do you think is actual niggas? And do you know, no matter, I'm not gonna say no matter, but realistically, almost unwavering, depending on who you talk to, unless you talk to niggas. Here's the funny part about that: when you talk to non-niggas, which is not a lot of them, the non-niggas, the people who, hey, I'm just trying to provide for my kids and my grandkids. I ain't trying to do nothing that's gonna send me to jail or send me to prison. I'm just trying to do right. Maybe I go to church, maybe I don't. But the vast majority of people who just, I'm just trying to do right, trying to put some money up for my kids, send my kids to college. Hopefully my kid can get a good job and do the right thing. Spike Lee type shit, right? Do you know the vast majority of them say that the amount of niggas in the black American population is over the majority? Most people say it's 60 to 80% of the black population is niggas. Realistically. Realistically, that's what they say. But then on the inverse of that, when you ask niggas, people who known to commit crimes, people who, for instance, excuse me, exactly what did he say? When you ask people, it's forever fuck 12. When you ask guys like Ray Jr., and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but when you ask people who lead with that type of rhetoric, people who say those type of things, when you ask them the question, well, what percentage of the black community is niggas? First and foremost, this is how you know they're going to give you the wrong answer, right? And I'm not saying there's no right or wrong answer, but we can get close to a correlation. But when I say, so what percentage of the black community do you think is niggas, or what percentage do you think is law-abiding citizens? And the first thing they're going to say, well, not all black people is niggas. Not all black people commit crimes. Everybody ain't doing. So when you lead with words, so when I ask you a word problem, Timmy has 6 oranges. Timmy gave 4 oranges to Jane. How many oranges does Timmy have left? Well, everybody don't eat oranges. Some people don't like citrus. Some people don't. So you have to realize what you're saying to me in lieu of the problem. Like, a lot of y'all really don't realize what y'all saying in answer to the word problem. I gave you a word problem which would solicit numbers, and now you start trying to tell me what some people do and don't do, and give me supposits and hypotheticals, and or start making affirmations. That's the truth of the matter, ladies and gentlemen. So when you ask these people who lead with the rhetoric, like my boy Ray Jr., when you lead with that type of rhetoric, the majority of them are going to tell you that it's not all black people who are niggas. And when you hone them down on a number, they're going to probably tell you it's less than 25%. That's what they're going to tell you. But then when you say, well, how many cops are shooting unarmed black people? How many people are doing that? They're going to make you believe it's almost 80 to 90%. But then when you break down the numbers to show them that it's not even 1%, it's actually a 15th. It's not even a 15th of a percent. It's 15 hundredths of a percent. Is what it is. I could get my numbers wrong right now because I'm just running off the top of my head. I'm not fact checking anything. I just usually have the numbers in my mind. So, but I know it's something off of a 15, but again, it's 0.0015% of police officers that are killing people annually in the United States. It doesn't account for 1%. Nobody. This doesn't say shit about the black community. It only says something about her as an individual. Y'all just be racist and blame everything on race and blame everything on race on this motherfucker. No, that's what black people do. You know, it's funny. I was watching a video the other day, and if you just listen to the common rhetoric, right? Because you say people only do it on this motherfucker. I guess he's meaning this app, and he's saying that y'all just be racist. So, do black people say, this is a black church? Do black people say this is a black school? Do black people say this is specifically a black something? This is a black-owned business. Do black people say that? And do you hear white people and Hispanics and or Asians? Now, don't get me wrong. I know Asians and Hispanics have their own towns and, different things of that nature. But do people say this is a white-owned business? This is a Mexican-owned business. This is a Greek-owned business. This is a white church. Do we hear that type of narrative and rhetoric? No, we don't. So to say we just be making it about race on this motherfucker, no, black people always make it about race. Why is it that when Keisha gets mad at the white girl, she could say, well, this white bitch, and put her fingers all in her face, and that's fine and dandy. But if Kim or if Stacy says this black bitch, all hell breaks loose. Why is that? We always make it about race, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we do. We do, as black people. Bitch, please. Your race at the bottom of the barrel. I have no idea what he is talking about. Responding with memes. Listen, memes were a cool thing, but listen, when you have some guys only know how to talk in memes. Like, you have adults actually having real life adult conversations, and then the only thing they know how to do is just post a meme. And just be like, see? Yeah, you mad. Look at you. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not going to lie. Listen. I give women a really hard time because somebody has to. And they need it. They do. You got to toughen up, Buttercup. But I'm gonna tell you guys where a big problem is lying at, because we talk about how delusional women is. Nothing is more delusional than an effeminate man who is like a gamer or like one of those techie guys. Like these little nerdy dudes, and I ain't saying there's anything wrong with being a nerd, but I'm pointing out what type of person I'm speaking about. When you have these guys who do not have any real social skills, interacting skills, they're extremely effeminate, and they have almost negative body muscle body muscle. So like when they do the BMI in their body and their BMI, I'm more than likely their body fat is probably on the better side of like 60 to 80%. Those guys, the guys, when you look at them and you can say he's never ran anywhere in his life. Like, this guy has never done a push-up. Like, you can look at some people and you can tell he's never lifted anything above 25 pounds. Like, you can just tell. So anyway, when you get, and then they play a lot of video games, so their mind is hardwired just to a lot of, just trash talk and internet banter. And I'm with it. We get in the game, everybody's talking smack, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But you got to realize some people, they live like that. That's the only way they talk and communicate. And when they're not on the game, they don't interact with real people. So when they do talk with people and somebody says something, the first thing that they're going to say is the most offensive thing ever. That's the only way they know how to comment to you. It's just to say the most offensive thing ever. Or something that's deliberately a mischaracterization. We're gonna substitute mischaracterization with disingenuous. Disingenuous has to die, just like with atrocious. Atrocious, disingenuous, they're done, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna substitute disingenuous with mischaracterization. But look, I made this video a lot longer than it needed to be made. Honestly, I did. But listen, hopefully you guys found some type of value in this. Maybe you found some humor in this, and maybe you listened to some of my comments in my some of the comments, and you found some agreements in some of the commentators, and or you found some agreements in some of my rebuttals to some of the comments. Either way it goes, I thank you for staying here. I thank you for watching the video in its full entirety. I would implore you to share the content with friends, family, anybody that you think the content is relevant to. Remember, local elections are more important than national elections, but dollars are stronger than votes. They won't stop until we stop them. Liberation comes at a cost. Who's willing to pay for it?